This morning at 11 a.m., it was 33 degrees at O'Hare. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., it'll feel like it's 37 below zero.
Laura is back with the bone-chilling first alert forecast.
It hurts.
It sure does.
The cold and the wind combined, just brutal.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the 12 days of Wolfmas. This is day number 11. I can't believe it's almost coming to a close. We're currently up $3,500, and for all you newbies out there that are coming for the first time, I'm giving away all my profits to you guys, my subscribers. All you gotta do is drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and leave a comment down below why I should pick you. And tonight we're in Chicago, but not at RCG. We're at CCG out in Lombard. We're gonna be into the 1-3 game for $400. And I'm gonna see if I can keep this $100 an hour hourly, which is what I have going on. I'm gonna see if I can keep that up here on the table. So let's get right into the hands. Make sure you subscribe. Let's go. We're up $3,500 with no plans on slowing down. It may be blistering cold outside, but we hit the tables to keep our hot streak going. Tonight's lineup consists of my editor Lucas, his brother, Michelle from a previous home game, and some other locals. It's gonna be a fun time. Oh, and the entire session I live streamed on TikTok. We're into the 1-3 game for $400. First hand, I look down at pocket kings from the big blind. This session is going to go off to a great start, I hope. The cutoff raises it up to $10 and the button puts in the call. That's not going to fly with me. I decide to 3-bet them to $40. Only the initial raiser, the cutoff, he puts in the call. The button gets out of the way. That means we're heads up out of position to a flop. Decent flop for us, it comes 5-5-3. It's unlikely the opponent will have connected with this board unless they were raising with ace-5 and decided to call my bet in position. So I decided to bet out small here for $25, looking to keep all the pocket pairs in, like 6s through 10s I think he could have. So I decided to bet out for $25, and he's not going anywhere. He puts in the call, bringing in the 7 of clubs on the turn. The only hand that improves here is obviously my favorite two cards, pocket 7s, but they wouldn't do me dirty like this, would they? I decided to size up now for $95, still targeting all those pocket pairs like 6s, 8s, 9s, 10s, things of that nature. $95 is the price of poker. The opponent thinks about it for quite a long while, cuts out the chips, and then puts them in the middle. So I think I'm good in this spot, and we're going to see what the river card brings in, and it comes a jack of hearts. Really shouldn't change too much. I don't really think he's going to have pocket jacks when he just calls my bet pre-flop, so I think I could go for a little bit more value on this river. He has around $159 left in his stack. I know that because I decided to rip my entire stack all in, covering him for $159 effective. He snap calls me, which isn't good news. I'm not exactly sure what he's going to show me. I turn over my cards, and when he turns over his, that's not a good sign. Sure enough, he has a boat, pocket 3s. So yeah, he called my raise pre-flop with pocket 3s. And when you call with pocket 3s and flop a boat, you deserve the entire pot, sir. $649 going your way. Unfortunately, we have to top up for an additional $400. I hope my winning streak isn't going to come to a crashing halt on day 11. In for $800, I have $400 in my stack. I look down at 10-8 of clubs from the button. Cutoff, who goes by Lucas, aka my brilliant editor who's editing my voiceover right now, decides to raise it up to $15, and I'm looking to get into a pot with him. In position, I put in the call, leading us to a flop which comes Jack 9-8, giving me a pair and a straight draw. He checks it over to me, and I don't want to get check raised on this kind of a board. Obviously, I'd put in a call if I get check raised, but I just don't love the spot, so instead, I decide to check behind, and that brings in the king of clubs on the turn. He checks it to me once again, and just in case he's playing this tricky and trapping, I know he's capable of doing so, I decide to check behind once more, which brings in the 7 of diamonds on the river, and that gives me a straight, so that's a pretty good hand. A pretty hard hand to make is a straight, and he checks it over to me for a third time. Isn't great news because he checked 3 streets, he probably doesn't have a great hand, but still, I'm going to go for a nearly pot-sized bet of $30. He puts in the call, I turn over my cards, and he shows 2 pair, king jack. So yeah, don't blame him. He played it tricky. See how if I would have bet the turn, he might have gone for the check raise. Yeah, glad I played it the way I did. $100 coming my way. Let's rebuild and let's book a profit in this session. Ace 3 of diamonds is the next hand we're going to battle with. I'm on the button. Under the gun opens it up to $20, which is definitely a large raise here in this 1-3 game, but at the same time, if I can get a flush or some two-pair type of hand, I probably could stack or double through Nathan, so I decided to put in the call, and we are heads up in position to a flop which comes king 4-4 with 1 diamond. When he checks it over to me, I decide to check behind. I'm not going to lie, the thought of going for a bet on this board did cross my mind, but at the same time, he could be checking out of position with hands like king queen, king jack. So I'm going to check behind here, take a free card, and see what he does on the turn. The turn is quite possibly the best card in the deck without immediately improving my hand. It comes a deuce of diamonds. I pick up the nut flush draw, I have a straight flush draw, and I still have my overcard, the ace of diamonds, in my hand. Great card for me to see in the actions on Nathan. Nathan now decides to bet out for $15, and I'm not exactly too sure if this is a feeler type of bet or if he's betting a king in his hand, but let's just say he has a hand like 7s, 8s, 9s, or 10s. They would check the flop, and they would maybe want to go for a bet on this turn. Just putting some more money in there. When I check behind on the flop, it's unlikely I have a king. So when he bets out for $15, instead of just putting in the call, why don't we raise the pot up and put him in a tough spot with a hand like pocket 9s? I'd love for him to fold a hand like pocket 9, so let's see if he can do that. I decided to raise him up to $50, and he goes into the tank before eventually putting in the call. So maybe it's going to take another street of action. Maybe I got to fire the river to get him to fold, and the river comes a deuce of hearts. Would have loved to see an ace, a 5, or a diamond, but instead the dealer puts out the deuce of hearts, and Nathan checks it over to me once again. Alright, the dealer's not helping me out. I gotta help myself. Gotta bluff here with my ace high and get all of his pocket pairs to fold. If he played a king tricky, he deserves my money, but I decided that $75 tells the story that I have a better hand than pocket 7s. So that's what I decided to do. I fire $75 in the middle, and he starts cutting out chips. Oh boy, we don't want to see this. And he min clicks it back for $150. I'm going to snap fold here, and he immediately turns over to the goods, pocket kings. I see why you checked the flop there, Nathan. It was a trap. I didn't think you had a king, but instead you have 2 kings, and $369 are going your way. And what's not going my way is my chip stack. It's going the opposite way, but no fear. We look down at Jack 9 of hearts from the small blind. Lucas on the button opens it up to $15. I'm going to 3-bet him from the small blind. Don't want to be calling out of position, but I like my hand, Jack 9 suited, so I decided to make it $50. Lucas puts in the call because why wouldn't he? He knows my every move. He's seen every hand that you guys have seen maybe 3 or 4 times through. He puts in the call, and we are going heads up out of position to a flop, and it comes gin. King 9-9, bang, we flop 3 9s. Absolute dream spot for me when I 3-bet Jack 9. It's going to be hard for him to put me on that kind of a hand, but maybe if he did, it would be hand like 9-8, 9-10, or 9-jack suited. But still, given the fact that I'm out of position, I decided to start with a check. I'm going to play this a little bit tricky, and Lucas decides to check behind, bringing in the 3 of hearts on the turn. When I check the flop and he checks behind, I'm not going to check the turn. So now into the $103 pot, I decide to bet out for $50. If he calls me here, he could still do this with a lot of his flush draws, any of his kings that decided to check the flop back, and a lot of his pocket pairs, for instance 10s, 8s, and 7s. They could peel one off in position on the turn. So when I bet out for $50, he has one of those types of hands, and he puts in the call, bringing us to a river which comes the 6 of spades. There's $203 in the middle, and I have around $210 effective, and I decide to rip it all in for $210, putting him to the ultimate test. If I was bluffing here with missed diamonds, I would bet the same amount all in, so I got to be doing this with my top of my range here, Jack 9 suited, definitely the top of the range. I decided to rip it all in for $210. Lucas goes into the tank. I'm praying for a call. I got to get unstuck in this session and book my 11th win in a row. He does. He puts in the call. That's music to my ears. I turn over my cards, and he mucks his. Unfortunate for you, Lucas, but great for the subscribers of the vlog. And Lucas is kind enough later to say he had a king in his hand, which makes a lot of sense. I think my check on the flop put him in a tough spot. This is my editor, and I feel bad for him now.
I have a bang sticker at least.
Yeah, I'll put a bang sticker on you. Gotta give the people what they want, Lucas.
Going dark. Going dark.
It's kind of, you got a lot of stuff going on here, so we're gonna do it right there for the boys. For the boys. Like he's in Depression Central. The Bulbasaur, no run good for Bulbasaur. Alright, after banging my editor Lucas on the poker table, I look down at King Jack offsuit from the big blind. Nathan on the button opens it up to $15. Lucas in the small blind puts in the call. And instead of 3-betting, I actually decide just to put in the call, and that leads us 3 ways to a flop, which comes Jack 6 deuce with 2 diamonds. I do in fact have the Jack of spades in my hand. That gives me top pair with a pretty great kicker. Lucas checks it over to me. I check it over in flow to Nathan, and he bets out for $25. Going absolutely nowhere. There are some draws on board, like the diamond draw, and maybe if he had a hand like 4-5, that could be a gutter to the straight. So I could be going for a check raise, but instead I just put in the call, bringing in the turn, which comes the 5 of clubs. Really shouldn't change too much. I check it over to him in flow once again, and he decides to bet a third for $35. I'm going absolutely nowhere when the diamond draw breaks off on the turn. I put in the call with my pair of jacks, and we are off to the river. The river card comes a 4 of clubs, so I guess a hand like ace-3 of diamonds now gets there. But either way, I would decide to go for a blocker bet of $20. My logic is, if he has a worse jack, he might check behind on this river because I've called him on 2 streets. So I want to get a little bit of extra value. And if he has a better hand, maybe a hand like 6-5, 5-4, 6-4, he might actually decide just to call this bet, and I'd save some value. I decide to bet out for $20. He puts in the call. I turn over my cards, hoping and praying to be good, but we're not. He turns over pocket aces. So yeah, he's going to scoop that hand. But at the same time, I feel like I actually kind of won that hand in a way, because the pot could have got way larger on the river. If I check it to him, he might have bet 75 to 100, and I might have just called him with my top pair when the diamond draw breaks off. So I saved like $80 there on the river. No worries, we're on to the next one with 8-6 of hearts from the cutoff. It's an uphill battle, but we got some work to do. The under the gun opens it up to $10, and I decide to 3-bet it to $30. You might be thinking, why am I going for a 3-bet with 8-6 suited? Maybe just call and see if you hit the flop. Yeah, that's a good strategy, but I'm playing for that 11 for 11 streak I have going. And quite frankly, I got to win a lot of money here if I want to get unstuck, so I got to play bigger pots. And 8-6 suited seems like a pretty decent hand to be disguised if I hit this flop. When I 3-bet him to $30, he puts in the call, and we are off to the flop, which comes king queen high with 1 heart. He checks it over to me, and I decide to go for a standard bet of $20, and he decides to go for a standard call of $20. So yes, we are off to the turn, giving me a third pair now. It comes the 8 of spades. When he checks it over to me, I have some showdown value, although I don't really know what I'm beating when he calls me on the flop. I decide to check behind on the turn, bringing us to a river, which comes the 4 of clubs. He checks it over to me for a third time, and now I decide to check behind once again with my showdown value. Hopefully he turns over a random ace-high type of holding, and we'll win this $100 pot, adding it to our chip stack. He does in fact announce the table he had ace-high, music to my ears, confidently turn over my 8-6 suited, which rewards me with that pot. Alright, $550 in my stack. We're stuck $250 on the session. Gotta get down to business here. I look down at ace-3 offsuit from the button. The cutoff Lucas raises it up to $10, and I decide to put in the call, leading us heads up to a flop, which comes 10-8-6 with 2 clubs. I do in fact have the ace of clubs in my hand. Let's see if that plays a factor later down the line. Lucas checks it over to me. And on a 10-8-6 board, he's going to have a lot more of the sets than I will. So I decide to check behind, bringing in a third club. The 7 of clubs peels off on the turn. Lucas checks it over to me for a second time. Now that I pick up a flush draw on the turn, I decide to overbet for $35. Just looking to put pressure on a lot of his random hands like ace-8, ace-6, just stuff like that I can get to fold, which would be a huge win for my exact hand. Lucas, though, he doesn't want to fold. He decides to put in the $35, leading us to a river with around $100 in the middle, and Lucas checks it over to me for a third time. When he checks it over to me, it's possible he has a 1-pair type of hand. Maybe he has a random 2-pair hand, like for instance 8-6. What if he has 8-6? There's a 4-liner to a straight, there's 3 clubs out there, so I think I gotta bomb this river with my ace high and try to get a lot of those hands to fold. I do in fact bomb the river. I decide to bet $85. He's in the tank, and we're sweating this one out here because if he puts in the call, it's going to be tough for me to come back from this one, getting caught bluffing. But music to our ears and your ears as well. He folds his cards. He had 2 pairs, 7-6 of spades, and I turn over my cards showing the bluff. But you see how going for a bet there with the ace of clubs in my hand just really paid off. I represented the flush. There's a 4-liner to a straight out there. If he's folding 2 pair, he'd pretty much have to fold a set of 6s as well, right? Well, I guess we'll never know. We're getting the chips pushed our way. That's a great sign. And we're on to the next hand, which is definitely a crazy one. We look down at pocket 5s from under the gun. I decided to raise it up to $20 over a straddle, and 3 players put in the call. We're looking for a miracle, and it comes queen 7-5. Bang! We flop bottom set. The only caveat is there are 3 spades on the board, but I'm not greedy. I won't take the best board possible. I'll still take bottom set on this board. If someone has a flush or a flush draw, I just want the board to pair on the turn of the river, just giving me the essential nuts. Undergun checks, and I decide to bet out for $50. I think $50 is a good price to bet. If they have a flush, oh well, we're going to need the board to pair on the turn of the river anyways. If they have the ace or king of spades in their hand, we want to charge them the maximum. And the late position now jams all in, and at the sound of it, it doesn't sound great. But when we actually look over at his chip stack, he only has $113. So of course I'm going nowhere with bottom set. I flick in the additional $60, and we are off to a run out. We decide not to turn over our cards right away. The turn card is terrible. It comes a jack of spades. Oh man, I hope he doesn't have a spade in his hand now. Pair the board, dealer. That's not what we get. Instead, we get another ugly card. It comes the ace of spades. So now there's 5 spades on board. And if he doesn't have a spade, we just got ultimately coolered. And that's exactly what happens. He decided to rip the flop with ace-7 of clubs. The turn card, surprisingly to me, was no help to him, but he gets there on the river. So we're chopping up that $310 pot. Oh man, it feels like a huge loss because I desperately needed those 300 chips in my chip stack. Alright, if you guys thought that hand was crazy, wait till you see this one. I need to remind you guys that I am currently live on TikTok with somewhere between 800 and 1400 people watching, leaving comments, chatting with me. They can hear my voice, I can see their comments. It's a fun time. If you haven't followed me on TikTok or Instagram yet, go check me out, Wolfgang Poker. But I needed to say that I'm alive on TikTok because that becomes a huge factor in this hand later down the road. I look down at ace-5 offsuit from the big blind, straddles on, and the cutoff raises it up to $15. And I decide to defend my big blind by putting in the call, leading us off to a flop heads up, which comes queen 4 deuce with 2 diamonds. I obviously check, I'm out of position, and I have ace high with just a gutter to the straight, and the cutoff decides to bet for $25. $25 into $40 seems a bit much, especially I just have ace high. But I'm live on TikTok, I'm filming a vlog, and I'm stuck in the session, so I decide to put in the call. I tell the dealer I'm thinking of a card, and he delivers for me. It comes the 3 of diamonds. Bang! We turn the wheel. Double-edged sword, though, there are 3 diamonds on board, but I decide to check in flow over to the cutoff. Music to our ears, the cutoff now bets out for $50 into the $90 pot, and the action's back over to me. What am I going to do? Am I going to go for the check raise, or am I just going to call here with 3 diamonds on board? Instead, I fold? Oh no. Why did I fold? Did I misread my hand? Remember I said I was live on TikTok? I misread my hand. I didn't check my hand live like I normally would if I wasn't distracted. And when I called for the card on the turn, I thought I had a different wheel draw. I thought I had ace-3 and I just made a pair on the turn. Knowing that I thought I had ace-3, my fold on the turn makes a lot of sense. But I had ace-5. I don't think I've ever done this before. Drop a comment down below how disgusting this is, and if you guys have ever done this before. Not only am I losing this pot, I'm not adding those chips to my stack, which means less profit for you guys, and it means I have less of a chance of getting unstuck in this session. Here are my raw emotions right after this hand. Yeah, so I just folded the winner. I didn't show the board, but I turned the wheel after calling for the exact card. I said, I'm thinking of a card. I get the card, and he bets $50 and I fold. What a nit. What am I doing? I'm on TikTok live, 800 people are watching, and I fold, and I didn't even realize I folded the best hand, and then just tons of comments are coming. You folded the best hand. And then that just happened. But yeah, has that ever happened to you guys where you folded the best hand and then realized afterwards that you folded the best hand? Leave a comment down below. But we're gonna try to play like we normally play now and get back into it. All right, I apologize, you guys. I realize I'm playing with your guys' money as well. That's literally never happened to me. Guess I was just a little bit distracted. Let's buckle down here, try to book a profit. I look down from the small blind at Jack 9 offsuit. I have 700 in my stack. There's around an hour left in this session. The charity game closes at 1 in the morning and it's right around midnight right now. So we got an hour to make $100 and book a profit. Let's do it. The button limps, I raise it up to $15 and he decides to put in the call. That means we are going heads up to a flop. The flop comes ace 10 8, so we have a open-ended straight draw. The board isn't too connected. Other than that, there's really no flush draws out there. I decided to represent all the aces in my range by betting out for $15, and Lucas on the button puts in the call, bringing us to the turn, which comes a 3 of hearts. Well, I still just have jack high, so if I want any chance of winning this hand immediately, I gotta go for a bet. That's what I decided to do, $55 into the $63 pot. I decided to bet that much. Yeah, you got to go for pot when you have a bluff. You also got to go for pot when you have a strong hand here like ace king, ace queen, or pocket tens. That's what I decided to do, but Lucas knows my moves. He puts in the call, which is not great news for me. I want to see a queen or a 7 on the river, giving me the essential nuts. The river card does not come that. It comes the 5 of spades, and I'm out of position to Lucas. Now, in this spot, when he calls me on the flop and the turn, keep in mind he called me on the turn for a nearly pot-sized bet. That means he has a pretty strong hand, right? And I have jack 9, which blocks the only bluff that's out there, jack 9. So yeah, a bet here seems pretty reckless, but at the same time, reckless is what I have to be if I want to win in this session. So that's what I decide to do. $110 going into the $173 pot. I'm hoping I can get him to fold a hand like queen 10, king 10, pocket jacks, pocket 9s. Let's get him to fold that type of hand. He asked me if jack high is good. I think he's calling out my hand. That's a little bit sketch. But ultimately, he does fold his cards. I turn it over for the bluff, jack 9 offsuit, taking down that $173 pot. But it turns out he had the exact same hand, so I was just getting him off a chop. Great bet there by me, bluffing the second to last hand of the night. And we're on to the last one. We look down at 3-4 of clubs from the big blind. Look at my stack. I have $780 in my stack. I only need another $21 to book a profit. The button decides to limp, and I raise it up to $15. We got to make 20 bucks here. And he puts in the call, so we're going to go off to a flop, and we get a dream flop. Queen 4-3, bang! We flop bottom 2. Additionally, there's a club out there, so I could back into a flush. I decided to bet out into him for $15, and he puts in the call. So if we win this hand, we will be in the profit. Let's see what the turn card brings in. It comes the jack of spades. I'm looking to take this hand down immediately. If he has a hand like king queen, don't want him to approve. But if he puts in the call, he's going to be putting it in behind, which I also do appreciate. So I decided to bet out nearly pot for $55. I'd appreciate a call. I'd appreciate a fold. I think I have the best hand. He does decide to fold, and he turns over his cards. He had a draw, 5 deuce of spades. We decided to run out the river just to see. It comes the 6. So my nearly pot-sized bet on the turn got him to fold a draw. Not exactly sure if he's supposed to be folding that open-ended straight draw there, but yeah, he does. And we're going to take down that pot, bringing my chip stack up to $801. This is an $801 stack. An hour ago, we were losing $100. We came back $801, and we still have 15 minutes to go left in the session, but I'm cutting it. I'm 11 for 11. We made $1 in this session, and the Wolfmas is 11 for 11. How crazy is that? We're up like $3,500. I thought I was going to lose this session, but I didn't. Let's go. Merry Christmas, you guys. Happy holidays. And yeah, we're going to cash out now. So let's see how much we have.
1, 2, 3, 8 in a little line with one oddball there.
Oh, I'll take that oddball. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
All right, you guys, that wraps up that 1-3 session. Got in for $400, topped up an additional $400. Got out for $801. I called it with 15 minutes left in the session. I said, you know what? We're not paying the blinds. We're not booking the L. We're taking the W, 11 for 11 on Wolfmas, bringing the total up $1, so we're still around $3,500 in profit. If any of you guys want a share of that, drop a comment down below. Make sure you're subscribed. Merry Christmas, you all. Happy holidays. You guys mean a lot to me, and I'm giving back to you guys. That's what the season of giving is all about. Hope you guys run good on the felt like I did tonight. That $1 profit. Let's go. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace. Thanks for watching to the end of my video. Click my head below to subscribe and stay in the loop. See you next time.